Space whales? Nope, rather deal with devils. Chapter 33, Fiction by Azazyel. The meeting between Sona and Rias Gremory's peerage was tense. Tsubaki and Akeno were eyeing one another, and the kings of the peerage in Sona and Rias were having a silent stare-off as Mami and I entered the room. As we entered, Rias's eyes landed on us, and she actually blinked a couple of times before she said with a small smile, "That's a very good Mami Tomoe cosplay. Your breast size is a bit too big, but I certainly cannot throw such stones," she said proudly as she shrugged her shoulders, making her own massive breasts audibly thump on her chest while Sona's whole body twitched at the sight and the reflexive breast envy. "But my name is actually Mami Tomoe," Mami said reflexively before she smiled as she recalled the whole multiversal bit, and Rias just rolled her eyes and waved her hands. Rias used her hand wave to continue her own conversation with Sona, and as she did so, I looked around and noticed the unconscious form of Issei Hayadu that was sprawled on the carpet with a visible nosebleed. "Ah! Why is there an unconscious person on the carpet?" I asked wryly. A dull voice rang out. The pervert was verbally listing off the 3 sizes of the student council. The pervert got punched hard in the back of the head by me and is now sleeping. I looked over at the voice and saw Kaneko, the white-haired Nikusha rook of Rias's peerage, who, seeing me paying attention, just tilted her head up as she said dully, "Sup, you new to Sona's peerage?" she asked, obviously digging for info. But I didn't mind sharing as I took a seat next to Momo on the long table with Kaneko in front of me, as Mami took the next empty seat next to me. Actually, a contracted magician, so I don't think I will be playing in whatever competition Rias and Sona make up. I explained, and afterward, I reached into my pocket and then dropped a pile of candy I got from the Madoka Magica world on the table, making Kaneko's eyes widen at the pile of candy as I opened up a bag of peanut butter and chocolates that were a lot like Reese Pieces but went by a different name. Kaneko looked down at her own little plate of gourmet cookies that she had, and then looked at my pile of heart attack snack food, and I could hear her heart breaking as she made the cutest noise as she grumbled. "Mew. It's not fair. Why don't I have a pocket dimension spell for my snacks? If only I was a bishop." Kaneko bemoaned, making me smile, and just to fucking be evil, I handed Mami a melon brea D, which made Kaneko's face twitch. In any case, we cannot do another competition using school equipment, as the last time we did so, we ended up blowing up the gym, the tennis court, and its equipment, as well as Kiba receiving testicular torsion that needed surgical help and Phoenix tears to fix within the night. Not to mention the time we played soccer with a reinforced ball and my queen Tsubaki got a ruptured liver from Kaneko beaming the ball into her side. Sona announced loudly, and my face twitched as all the peerage members of both peerages solemnly nodded. Rias and Sona are too competitive is the real issue. Akeno simpered, and Rias's face flushed as she went to deny, but Akeno cut her off. "Rias, my darling sister in all but blood. I had to drag Kiba off the arena when he lost control of his bladder, and all you cared about was winning the tennis match." Kiba didn't help Rias's case either as he spoke softly. "I was abandoned by my tennis partner, my comrade. My king, to lie there on the ground with a terrible wound and agony, as she only chased glory, leaving me in the dirt. No more president." Then Sona got ripped on for a bit before the king of the peerages spoke up with some clear embarrassment. "Then how should we decide the allotments for the ticket to go to the familiar forest?" they demanded, and I raised a hand, making the girls blink at my entry into the conversation. "If you girls are so competitive, and we don't want to destroy property with absurd games, then either fight straightforwardly in a safe and secured area with a champion for each peerage doing the fighting in a mock rating game. Or we could do rock, paper, scissors," I offered, and both girls' faces twisted at my joking final offer. As was pointed out before, they were highly competitive. There was literally no way in hell that either team wouldn't use magic in whatever game to get the advantage. So, might as well just skip the bullshit and just fight for the ticket, as in the end, the games were going to end up in pain and misery anyway. Sona slightly nodded before huffing as she said with a slightly amused expression, "Indeed, if the games are going to escalate to the point of physical harm and property damage anyway, we might as well have a champion of each peerage engage the others." Rias nodded and then hummed before grinning and pointing at Kaneko. Kaneko. I choose you. Rias said dramatically, and Kaneko's face twisted up as her yellow eyes tightened on her king as she hissed back at her. I am not a fucking Pokemon for you to throw into battle. Kaneko snarled, and Rias gave the biggest smile as she retorted. I will double this week's snack budget. Kaneko's eyes all but lit up as a fire of passion filled her, and I blinked, feeling something like soul energy escape her for a split second as she stood up and she eyed Sona's peerage and said bravely. I have to win for my king's honor. Be ready for me to smash you all flat. She finished threateningly with a small fist being held up in front of herself, showing how ready she was to go. A loud clapping rang out, and I looked over and saw Sona smiling coldly as she said mockingly, if not evilly. Good. Good. You have fallen for my trap, Rias. Sona looked at me, and my lips twitched as I already knew what was going to happen. Sona likewise dramatically pointed at me and called out. Then in that case, I summoned my contracted magician, Jake Barris, to act as my champion. Even as I expected Momo or even Tsubaki to stick up for me. Or want to claim the glory or whatever. I heard Momo whisper to me softly. Thank you, Jake. Kaneko hits too damned hard, and no one wants to fight her. Alright, so I was all alone basically. Fine. I suggested it anyway, so I had a suspicion I would be nominated.